Hello everyone, and in today's video we're going to be making a not so historically accurate Viking shield. I'm going to be using quite thin plywood. This is about 5-6 mil, and this shield boss that I bought quite some time ago. It's probably more of a medieval sort of English one, I guess. I'm not quite sure, but it's a bit too shiny for me, so I might have to paint it or something. Just give it like a brushed effect. This diameter of the shield here is going to be 28 inches from side to side there. So to get the circle I just measured 14 inches from the middle or thereabouts, and used a piece of string, pencil and a nail to draw a rough circle. Then once you've done that a few times, go around it with a marker pen so you've got your nice edge. And now I'm going to cut that out with a jigsaw. Centre that I need to drill out, so I'm going to use a wood drill right there. And once I've got the hole, I'll put the jigsaw blade in and cut out this darker inner circle here, and that'll be all the cutting that we have to do on the plywood. And while you're cutting out the wood and making the rest of the shield, before the finishing touches like the rawhide here for the edge, you want to get the rawhide and make sure you soak it in some water for a few hours. This has been in here for probably about 2 hours now. I've heard people soak it for around 4, but by the time I'm done with everything else it'll probably be around 3 hours, 4 hours. So that's gonna be how it looks around the edge. So it will loop around the edge there, and both sides it will look like that. Then I'm going to use some flooring tacks just to hammer that through, probably bend them round and turn it into sort of an L-shaped staple so it hooks in from the back as well. Yeah, just soak that for a few hours so it becomes pliable. You can also use some rawhide dog chews if you can't get this online. It's more expensive buying it this way in the pre-cut forms. But some of the dog chews are really uneven, so it just depends what look you're going for. So I've cut out the entire thing and then just gone round the edges with a half round rasp just to round them off and make it more comfortable. After that I'm just going to sand the interior here, but I'll leave the edge as it is. I've put the boss back on and just drilled through the holes in the boss with a wood drill bit. And next I'm going to paint it. Just going to paint it both sides with this. With dark green paint. And then if I want to do a pattern on it, I'll wait till the green dries and then mask off an area and use some black, I believe. Come back when that's done. There we go, all painted up. Like I said, if I want to do a design on this, I'll do it later, once the green is dried. And while this is drying, I'm going to make the handle that is going to be joined through the boss, through the shield, and then to the handle on one of these axes here, either that way or that way. I think the top of the shield probably going to have it that way, so I'm going to make a handle that will go right across the back of it like that, out of just some scrap wood. Here's my scrap piece of wood. This is actually a piece of wood that a piece of tubing or marbled steel came on, and this is the same piece of wood I used for the machete Bowie handles quite some time ago. So I've drawn my design. So this is how it's going to work. The screws will go through the boss, through the shield, and then I'll drill 2 more holes and they'll go through the handle. So it'll be something like that. And then I've just drawn a design there to make the grip a bit more rounded and comfortable, and then tape it off towards both ends. So I'll cut that out and rasp this area here, and then once that's done, hopefully the shield will be dry enough to start trying to put that together. Just started to rasp out the handle here, cleaned up the edges a little bit, and then on the tip as well, and that'll just give it a much cleaner look. Just going to continue with this until the whole handle is complete. So I'm just attaching the shield boss and the handle underneath at the same time. This is what it looks like after that spray paint. The lines here are just from where the masking tape was sat. So obviously, as I've sprayed the black, some of the wind has dragged it over to here and made these sections look a bit sort of dirty. But I think it looks alright. I'm just going to keep that. I'm not going to try and put more green on to blend that. Just going to leave it how it is. I've got holes already in the boss. I've drilled holes in the shield, and then these two here are actually have the handle underneath. These ones will just be holding the boss onto the shield. So as you can see underneath, I've done one already, this one here, and then I'm just in the process of hammering this one through the other part of the grip. So I'll hammer that flat and do the same here, and then I'll cut them off and peen the back side of them. Then it will be time to add a couple more, maybe just one. I might even use a smaller nail for this. I might just go straight through just to secure the ends of the grip on the inside. I've moved inside for this part so I can use the vise that's bolted to the bench. Got all 4 nails going through the boss, 2 through the handle. Just going to cut these ones off first, just using a hacksaw. And then once they're all cut, I'm going to put them against either the flat of here or a piece of train track that I have, and use that as an anvil to peen them over. Then I'll put another one of these nails through the end of each of the handles here to secure the tops to the shield so there's no gap. Once that's done, I'll work on putting the rawhide wrap along the edge and nailing that into place. So I've put 4 nails through so far, cut 2 of them off, the ones that are going through the handles in the boss, and I've peened this one over. It's quite proud, but it doesn't make, you know, a bigger difference because you're not going to be touching that part of the shield anyway. I'm just going to peen this one over now, and how I'm doing that is using this piece of railroad track, train track. As you can see, I've marked that with a marker pen where I'm going to eventually cut it into more of an anvil shape, but for now it's just how it was when it came to me in the post. Just placing the other end of the nail against that, holding this upright and hammering it first with the flat of the hammer just to make sure it's all the way in, and then just with the peen to flare out the top. So I'll do that with all 4, these 2 first, then those, then I'll add the other ones and do the same with that, and then after that we'll work on the edge of the shield. Almost through with this one, a little wiggle and it should come off. There we go. Just need to peen the 4th one down and then finish off the shield. So for the pins on the back of the handle, I've decided to use the what they call floor tacks. So there's the other nails, and there's the floor tack. You can really barely see it holding it on there, but it is all the way through because it's a bit longer than the whole thing, and then I've just hammered the end off. This is what a fresh one looks like before I've hammered that. As you can see, it does the job. And then we just put this on here and gently tap that down until it looks like the other one, and then finally I can get round to using the rawhide, which I actually have over here, taking it out the bowl it was soaking in. That's the inside, it's a bit more rough, and there's the smooth side. Obviously it's best not to put it on while it's dripping wet so the shield absorbs some of that, because then it will ruin the plywood. So I've just let it hang. It's still wet, but you know, pliable enough to use. I'll clamp that to the edge and start tacking it. So this is my last step before putting the actual rawhide on the edge and tacking it in place. I just put some of this Gorilla Wood glue around the edge after just spraying the very edge on the inside a little bit. And I'm just going to use that on the very edge so the water that resides in the rawhide doesn't get absorbed by the shield once it goes on, because when you put it on it's not completely dry because you still want it to be flexible, and when it later dries the rawhide will be very hard and it will hold its shape. I'm just going to do this and then flip the shield over and try and brush a bit more of it just on the other edge, and this will all be covered by the rawhide anyway. Just an extra precaution to make sure the edges don't swell up and become more vulnerable to damage. So I'll do that and then we'll put the edge on. Just tacking 2.5 inches along and then reclamping it. And once they're all through, I'll lay it the other way down and probably just cut them and try and peen them, or most likely just bend them over and try and hammer it back into itself. But it's a laborious task and it requires a lot of clamps and 2 pairs of hands. I've got all the tacks through the shield now. We've got an overlapping area right here. I've just left the clamps on it just to make sure it dries tight. So you've just got one in there on the overlapping section. I may put another one in. Just didn't really want to spoil the look of the shield because I've kept them all the same sort of distance apart all the way along. So I'm almost done, just taking these needle nose pliers, gripping the base of the tack and then hammering the top part over to the left and taking these off and hammering it back down once it's already in a U shape, and hammering it over onto itself so the point ends up back into the rawhide or in the shield. It's fine if it just messes up and lays flat as well, as long as it's you know, not going to come back out. I'll do that and then we will be finished. Well, there we have it, guys. It is complete. I could still wait a day for this to dry properly because it still feels a little bit cold, so it's a little bit wet still. But there it is. One functional Viking shield, and it's as historically accurate as I can get it. There was no rawhide or fabric added to the face of the shield, so the panelling is just the one piece of wood, and the only rawhide or reinforcements that it does have is obviously around the rim and the shield boss in the middle there. I think for a first attempt, came out quite nicely.